Welcome back to patreon.com/the Derrick Lamon Experience, your one-stop shop for your college football news. I'm exhausted. Let me tell you, number one, I had my film premiere last night. I've been sick the last couple of days. Um, Shout out to Kitten for trying to nurse me back to health. It was really good. I appreciate it. Love you always. I still feel like shit, but there's some slight improvement, and I just finished working for the day. I am exhausted. Um, the Final four for the college football playoff were revealed as I was on the way to work. Um, we're just gonna dive right. There's no preamble or anything like that. We're gonna dive right in, right off the top. So, first two teams out, Georgia and um, Florida State. I understand everybody's point of view and why they're like, how is this possible? Florida State is an undefeated Power Five conference champion. Da 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 da. Man, I remember. Let me tell you guys this. I remember the last game that Georgia lost was to Alabama in the 2021 SEC championship game, and they still made the playoff. Um, I think with what Michigan and Washington were able to do this year, there's no way you could find a way to keep Georgia in the top four, especially given the fact that the Longhorns, and I hate to even, I don't want to give them credit, but they did. They went into Tuscaloosa, and they beat the Alabama Crimson Tide early in the season. So, whose spot is up for grabs? You can't put Alabama in and not put Texas in. So somebody was going to get left out, right? Had all the favorites won, this would have been a lot easier. Michigan took care of business. Washington was not favored. And it's crazy because everybody's like, well, Oregon throttled everybody after they lost that really close game to Washington. And that's fine. I still think the smart money, like, I just was just like, okay, I don't think that Oregon, like, they had their chance with Washington. But Vegas is going to do what Vegas wants to do. And they had them where they should have been. This set a precedent. Nobody has ever come from 8 to get into the top 4 in the 10 years of the playoff. Nobody has come below, I think, 6. So Alabama and Texas, credit to them. Texas was at 7. Bama was at 8. They both climbed 4 spots to get into the playoff. What Texas did to Oklahoma State Saturday morning, yikes. The Big 12 had some bad tie-breaking rules. I'm not here to advocate for Oklahoma. If I look to my left, behind me I have my Christmas tree. And as a tree topper, I have an Oklahoma hat on there. Behind the tree, I have my shelf. There is an Oklahoma football helmet and an Oklahoma light. While I was at work today, if I look to my right on my desk, I have block letters that spell out Sooners. And then I have an Oklahoma mini football helmet. We lost to Kansas and we lost to Oklahoma State. So all these people online on Twitter saying this, that, and the third. Well, Derek, you're an Oklahoma fan. What do you think? We lost 2 games. I understand that we beat Texas head to head, but guess what? Texas has 1 loss and we have 2. So there was no need for any conversation. It's strange that some of these bowl matchups are a little strange, I'm not going to lie, but it is what it is. So anyway, the committee went with Michigan at 1, obviously undefeated. Georgia loses, Michigan jumps up, right? Washington undefeated jumps up. Texas dismantles Oklahoma State. Like, I'm not a Quinn Ewers guy. And that's not just because I'm an Oklahoma fan and I absolutely have to hate Texas football. I see it, but I don't see it at the same time, right? If that makes sense. I'm sorry if it doesn't, and if it doesn't, well, too fucking bad. I still said it. He took them apart, dismantled them. He set records in that game. I'm willing to call, like, if I'm wrong, I'll say it. I see it, but I don't see it at the same time. And what he did in that game yesterday, but people are saying he's still coming back next year. What else does he have to prove if they win a natty this year? On a neutral field, is Texas better than Washington? Washington's defense is suspect, and I just saw what Quinn Ewers did Saturday morning. So Texas can play for the national championship this year. And it could be a rematch. Michigan's opening as the favorite. When the cameras were in the Michigan watch party room and they saw Alabama was the 4, and that's who they drew in the first round, all the air went out of that room. They know what kind of a tough task they have ahead of them. Michigan just got to roll over Iowa. They had Ohio State before that, and they had Penn State before that. So they've had a bunch of games, excuse me, where they got to play around, they got to play with their food. And then twice they had to take their meal serious. Penn State and Ohio State. And kudos to them because they still beat Ohio State without Jim Harbaugh. Which I was like, yo, if there's one factor that could swing the game this year, it's Jim Harbaugh not being on the sidelines. Sherrod Moore proved me wrong. After the Penn State game, I'm like, I don't know, man. If they're having this kind of trouble against Penn State, it seems like they're making mental errors in the field. Oh, God. This excuse me. They can't afford to do this against Ohio State. And we found out how Kyle McCord really is not that guy. But going into conference championship weekend, Oregon, Friday night, Oregon, Washington, I was like, this one's going to be big. Because if Oregon wins, everybody feels like they're the best one-loss team. And based on they went from 5 to 8. So they were the first team out. They would have been 5. Who was 6? I can't remember. I have to look at last week's ranking. I don't know. And then Texas and Bama were at 7 and 8. I can't remember who was at 6, but Oregon was being called the best one-loss team in the nation. That's why they had them above Alabama and Texas and teams like that, and Ohio State. When Washington won Friday night, I was like, okay, it's not exactly chaos right now, because Washington is 13-0 and they're the conference champion. Do they deserve the bid? Yes. Power 5 conference. Power 5 conference that won't exist next year, but Power 5 conference. Okay, well, there's a Power 5 conference that will exist next year, and that's the ACC. Florida won. Florida won after we saw what Alabama was able to do to Georgia at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, which is an hour away from Athens. That was essentially a home game for the Georgia Bulldogs. I told you guys this last time we had this conversation. It's a different Alabama team. So, I drive through some bad service areas going to work. And, my iPad was kind of behind on the stream. So, they're showing the teams, and then the ESPN app hasn't updated. It's like breaking news, top 4. And I saw Alabama was at 4, and I was like, holy shit. And then it finally popped up. The stream got to that point, and I was like, holy shit. So to see the reaction of the fans of Florida State, I get it. Here's the thing. Did the committee get the 4 best teams? Well, from a certain point of view, Alabama beating Georgia gives them the best win in the nation, bar none. That also makes Texas's win over Alabama even better. So there was no way you could put Alabama in without putting Texas in. If Georgia beats Alabama, then we're not having this conversation because Georgia would still be 1, Michigan would still be 2, Washington would be 3, and then Florida State more than likely is 4 because there's nowhere to make up room if all the top spots go as planned. Because at that point, there's no room for Texas and Alabama. They both have 1 loss. Florida State finished the season undefeated as a Power 5 conference champion, and they don't get an opportunity to play for the national championship. Jason Campbell tweeted a cover of the Sports Illustrated where the year where Auburn went undefeated and they didn't get a chance to play for the national championship. And then Matt Leinart, there's only Matt Leinart can do, retweeted it and said, I think Campbell said something like, we didn't get our chance either. Well, you guys played USC the year before they stomped you, and then they stomped you again the next year. You guys weren't going to beat USC, but I understand. We don't know until we get on the field. However, the year before and the year after, you guys got on the field and they boat raced you. So I get it. I get where Matt Leinert's coming from. UCF, I think they went undefeated damn near 2 years in a row, and they claimed the national championship regardless. They didn't care. If Florida State claims a natty this year, so be it. Now, they're going to play Georgia in the Orange Bowl, but it's not any of my business. I don't know. So let's get into it. Here's what was said by people regarding the Florida State situation. Mike Norvell, I am disgusted, head coach of the Florida State Seminoles. I'm disgusted and infuriated with the committee's decision today to have what was earned on the field taken away because a small group of people decided they knew better than the results of the game, Norvell said in a statement. What is the point of playing games? Do you tell players that it's okay to quit if someone goes down? Do you not play a senior on senior day for fear of injury? Where's the motivation to schedule challenging non-conference games? We are not only an undefeated Power 5 conference champion, but we also played 2 P5 non-conference games away from home and won both of them. They did beat the shit out of LSU Labor Day weekend. I can't remember who their other team was. And not for nothing, the ACC has a winning record against the SEC this season. So everybody's up in arms. What happened today goes against everything that is true and right in college football. Added ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips, quote, it's unfathomable. I think his name is Stanky or something like that, the SEC Commissioner. He said a couple of days ago, it is absolutely unforeseeable that an SEC team would not make the college football playoff. Meaning, hey, if Alabama beats Georgia, they should get in. If Georgia beats Alabama, obviously they're number one and they're going to get in. But if Alabama beats Georgia as the SEC champion, they should get in. That's what he was saying. The Florida State thing is this. Jordan Travis also had something to say. Who said that? I don't know who said this. Florida State, quote, Florida State is a different team than it was the first 11 weeks. Oh, this is Boo Corrigan. College Football Selection Committee Chairman Boo Corrigan told ESPN, as you look at who they are as a team right now without Jordan Travis, without the offensive dynamic he brings, they are a different team, and the committee voted Alabama 4 and Florida State 5. Travis, of course, the ACC Player of the Year, suffered a season-ending broke leg against North Alabama in mid-November. Backup Tate Rodemaker suffered a concussion late in the Seminoles' regular season finale victory at Florida, leading to true freshman Brock Lynn, the third stringer, starting in the ACC title game, a victory against Louisville. They won 16-6. I know they won, but they won 16-6. 16-6. Everybody's like, well, Ohio State was down to their third-string quarterback, and they got into the very first playoff. Cardale Jones and the Buckeyes ate the Badgers up. They beat the living piss out of the Wisconsin Badgers in that game. They dominated. That's why when they got in, everybody's like, I get it. I get it. They had a really bad loss that year. I can't remember who they lost to, but everybody was like, how the hell did they get in? Everybody's like, well, look at what they did last night with their third-string quarterback. And then, not for nothing, in the semifinal, who'd they draw? They drew Alabama. Everybody's like, well, Bama's clearly going to win. They're going to boat race Ohio State. Did not happen. Zeke up the middle, and that was it. And then they get to the title game against the Heisman Trophy winner, Marcus Mariota, and they beat the pants off of them. That Ohio State team was deep. All the way down the depth chart. What Cardale Jones did got himself drafted into the NFL. He didn't have a long career, but he still got paid for being on a roster. Jordan Travis tweeted this. Devastated, heartbroken, and so much disbelief right now. I wish my leg broke earlier in the season so y'all could see this team is much more than quarterback. I thought results matter. 13-0, and this roster matches up across any team in those top 4 rankings. I am so sorry. Go Noles. All right, bro, I'm going to tell you like this. Had you broken your leg earlier in the season, y'all would have been maybe an 8-win ball club. You nearly lost to Boston College. If Cade Klubnik doesn't fumble, you could have lost to Clemson. There were some games where you guys were really shaky against really bad opponents. So had you broken your leg earlier in the year, we're not even having this conversation. I get it. You guys went undefeated. The last eye test, though, for the committee is the conference championship games. What Alabama did against a team that had not lost in over 700 days, had 29 straight victories, kind of trumps what you did against Louisville, who lost to Pitt. Let's not forget Louisville lost to Pitt. Okay? So, I understand where they're coming from, but it's not about 4 most deserving teams. It's about the 4 best teams. And Alabama is unequivocally one of the 4 best teams in the nation, whether you guys like it or not. So Florida State is the 5. Georgia dropped to the 6. Capital One, the Orange Bowl, December 30th. Here we go. The consequences of giving into a narrative of the moment are destructive, far-reaching, and permanent, not just for Florida State, but for college football as a whole, FSU Athletic Director Michael Alford said in a statement. The argument of whether a team is the most deserving or best is a false equivalence. It renders the season up to yesterday irrelevant and significantly damages the legitimacy of the college football playoff. No, because it's seen in other sports. There are 20-win teams that don't make the NCAA tournament. I've seen it happen. There are legit 20-win teams that have not made the tournament. They vote over there too. It's just not talked about because there's 68 spots. So if they didn't think you were one of the 68 best teams in the nation, you didn't earn it. The committee failed college football today, said Alford. So many people. The fact that this team has continued to close out victories in dominant fashion facing our current quarterback situation should have enhanced our case to get to a playoff berth earned on the field. I get it, but we have seen a third-string quarterback destroy a team. Ohio State, they were the blueprint. Had you guys gone Buckeyes against Louisville, then yeah, you're in. You're in. We'd be arguing, is Texas really better than Alabama right now? Well, Alabama barely beat Auburn, who lost to New Mexico State. There's going to be an argument everywhere. Somebody's always going to feel cheated. Florida State was number 4 in the previous CFP rankings and prior to Sunday selections. No team ranked outside the top 6 of the second to last CFP rankings had ever jumped into the Final 4. Alabama and Texas both accomplished that feat on Sunday. FSU's exclusion calls into question the selection process and whether the committee's own guidelines were followed, including the significant importance of being an undefeated Power 5 conference champion. Phillips said in a statement, "My heart breaks for the talented FSU student-athletes and coaches and their passionate and loyal fans. Florida State deserved better. College football deserved better." I get it. Somebody said, well, they should boycott their bowl game. Yeah, let's do that. Let's give up millions upon millions of dollars. That would not be the right thing to do. That's the thing that people don't understand. So all you idiots, you talking heads on the internet, no, they do not need to boycott their bowl game. They just don't. That would be the dumbest thing they could do. Are they going to beat Georgia? Probably not. Actually, with a Rodemaker would be out of concussion protocol by that game. They're still not going to beat Georgia. Alabama, they won, but they didn't, it was 27-24. They won by a field goal. So, I don't know. It's a situation. A lot of people, Stephen A. Smith said, I understand Florida State is upset. Blame TCU. A lot of people said this is TCU's fault because they got destroyed by Georgia in the national championship game last year. TCU lost the Big 12 title game. They shouldn't have been in the first place. Nobody wanted to hear that last year. And I told you guys, they didn't belong on the field with any of the other 3 teams. And then they beat Michigan. You guys were like, you don't know football. And I asked you, do you really think Michigan played the way that they are capable of playing? Or do you think they overlooked TCU? A lot of people were like, they overlooked them. Okay. Be real. If Michael Jordan, well, he's a bad example because he's not going to give an inch to anybody. So he's a bad example. If you're a guy or a girl and you got skills in the basketball court and you're in the driveway playing against your kids, you're not going to go full Michael or Kobe on them. So there's a chance they could beat you if they've got the talent. But if you go to the park and play some people your own age and size, you're going to give them everything you got. Michigan overlooked TCU. And even still, Michigan could have won that game. There were some missed calls. They fought back. Now, when Bama beat Georgia yesterday, apparently a lot of ACC ADs started making calls to Brett Yormark at the Big 12 because they kind of felt something like this was possible, apparently. Don't know how true this is. I saw it online. It could be speculation. However, the source that I saw it from was right about all the realignment moves before they were actually fully announced and ratified. I will tell you that. The Big 12 was looking like, man, we took some schools we probably didn't have to take. That grant of rights in the ACC is the only thing keeping Florida State there now. Do remember, though, when all the realignment and shuffling started over the summer, I think it was Chase Bank or JP Morgan, whoever it was, Florida State reached out to, or was it Saxon Goldman? They reached out to some large financial institution to look into the situation because they feel like they're holding up the ACC and they deserve more money. What is the ACC without Florida State? It's a basketball conference. It's a basketball conference. So, I mean, here we are. This is very interesting. But if you guys want to blame somebody, fucking blame Oregon. Blame Oregon. Because they were supposed to be so much better than Washington. Even though Washington already held a head-to-head win over them. Like, I remember when USC lost to Texas in the Rose Bowl, and Matt Leinart, after the game, said, I still think we're the better team. And everybody was aghast. They're like, why would you say that? Remember last year, USC had 2 losses going into bowl season? They were both to Utah. Both to Utah. Had USC not lost to Utah in the Pac-12 title game, TCU doesn't even get in last year. Let the chips fall where they may. Let the chips fall where they may. So, let's talk bowl schedule. We're not going to go over every bowl. The ACC was very upset, and they were holding up the bowl. Like, I kept refreshing at work. I was like, when are we going to find out where these other bowl teams, like the other bowl games? The ACC was holding it up. Notre Dame is not an actual charter member of the ACC. Not in football. They're independent. The Notre Dame basketball program is an ACC school. But they were holding up. And I would imagine it had something to do with this, and we didn't get the full bowl slate till much later. So it starts not this weekend, but the following weekend. Those are all a bunch of mid-major bowls. Cal and Texas are the only Power 5 teams that play that first weekend. I'm sorry, UCLA plays that first weekend. Okay. I'm not going to go through all of those. We're going to get to the big stuff. Tulane fell in their conference title game to SMU. They now get the Military Bowl presented by GoBowling.com, and they get Virginia Tech. North Carolina started off the season hot and fell apart. They get the Duke's Mayo Bowl against Virginia. USC, just lucky to be bowl eligible. They get the DirecTV Holiday Bowl against Louisville. Texas A&M, TaxAct Texas Bowl against number 20 Oklahoma State. I don't know how they're still ranked, but whatever. Number 24 SMU is in the Wasabi Fenway Bowl. That's Thursday, December 28th at against Boston College. NC State, number 18 NC State against number 25 Kansas State in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Arizona, number 14 Arizona at number 12 Oklahoma in the Valero Alamo Bowl. Seen that way too many times. I don't know. I don't know how you get into the top 12, but it's whatever. Clemson fought back, and they're not going to play on New Year's Day, but they've got a pretty decent bowl. They're in the Gator Bowl against Kentucky. Oregon State at Notre Dame in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, which is still ridiculous in my opinion. Mizzou got the Cotton Bowl. I'm not upset, but we've played in a bunch of Cotton Bowls, and we've won a bunch of Cotton Bowls. We get Ohio State. Number 9 and number 7, we get Ohio State. That kicks off the New Year's 6 bowl games. The boys, Cody, Brady, all of them have said, no seniors are sitting this one out. This is our Super Bowl. It's going to be fun. We welcome the challenge of playing the Buckeyes, so this should be a good one. Mizzou's defense, I'm telling you, don't sleep. Like, everybody's like, well, Ohio State's got this. It's Mizzou. Y'all are going to start Kyle McCord. You think Kyle McCord is a better quarterback than Brady Cook? Do you think you have a better tailback than Cody Schrader? Let's be real. But Ohio State is more than likely still favored. And then Saturday, December 30th, in the Peach Bowl, number 11 Ole Miss at number 10 Penn State. The Music City Bowl, Auburn against Maryland. The Capital One Orange Bowl, that is going to be number 6 Georgia at number 5 Florida State. Let's see, who else do we have? The ReliaQuest Bowl. These smaller bowls should not be on New Year's Day. Wisconsin at number 13, LSU. I'm sorry, no. Liberty, the highest ranked G5 school, gets the Fiesta Bowl bid. Number 23, Liberty at number 8, Oregon. The Citrus Bowl, number 17, Iowa at number 21, Tennessee. And then we get to the semifinals. Again, that will be Monday at 4 o'clock when the sun starts to set over the San Gabriels. There's only one place you want to be. The only thing missing is the great voice of Keith Jackson. Whoa, Nelly, the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl. A lot of people are like, why doesn't Washington get the Rose Bowl? I'm like, you guys do understand. The number one seed, they get to select their venue. Michigan is a Big Ten school. The Rose Bowl had conference tie-ins, the Big Ten and the Pac-12. Why would Michigan not select the Rose Bowl? You bunch of fucking idiots. That proves that a lot of you don't really know college football because you didn't know that the number one seed picks the venue, and number 2, that Michigan has Rose Bowl history because they're in the Big Ten. But that's the 4 o'clock kickoff, and they get Alabama. And Michigan is slightly favored, but again, when you guys saw the reaction in that room when they found out that they got Alabama, they were like, oh, man. So, Saban, I said it earlier in the season, this is Nick Saban's best coaching job at Alabama, in my opinion. In my humble opinion, I think this is his best coaching job. And then in the other semifinal at the All-State Sugar Bowl, we have the number 3 Texas Longhorns at the number 2 Washington Huskies. What are the lines? Let's see. Do we have lines? I know we have lines on some of these games. Michigan is favored. Is Washington favored? It looks like Washington is favored. But yeah. To the fans of Florida State and to the Seminole players, I hear you guys. I get it. I do get it. But I told you guys, like, everybody kept saying, well, it doesn't matter. I'm like, dude, if Alabama beats Georgia, they would have the number 1 win in the country. Well, they'd still have 1 loss. They would have beaten a team that has not lost in over 700 days and has 29 straight victories, and they are the 2-time defending national champions. They would have the number 1 win in the nation. I know Texas holds a win over Alabama on their field. That win helped Texas's resume. What Texas did to Oklahoma State helped their resume. But that win also helped Alabama. The last time this happened, the last time Georgia lost was to Alabama in the 21 SEC title game. And they still stayed in. They just dropped from 1 to 4. That wasn't possible this year with the great football that was played amongst the Power 5 conferences. To the Pac-12, it's crazy that we watched the last Pac-12 game on Friday night. To the SEC, for those of us who have grown up and known that a 2 o'clock kick on your local CBS affiliate is SEC football and the voice of Vern Lundquist, etc., etc., it's crazy that was the last SEC game that we will see on CBS. I saw a lot of people blaming ESPN and Fox on Twitter today, and I don't know. I don't think we're done with realignment. We're in the super conference age now. That's going to do it for me tonight. This is going to be one of my last podcasts of the year. I will be back once we get to the New Year's 6 bowl games, and we'll preview those and stuff like that. I want to thank all you guys for listening. If you're a gaming fan, I do have the Week in Gaming. I have one more episode of that for the year, and that's it. I'm going to take a well-deserved break. Clearly, my health is telling me to sit my ass down. And I was going to take the break before I got sick, so it's not a big deal, but I need this break, and I think I've earned it. I'm going to go ahead and end this like I end every other episode of the podcast. Believe in yourself first and foremost, because if you don't believe in yourself, then nobody else will believe in you. As always, my name is Derrick Lamon Jackson, and that is my time. You guys have a good one.